Emmanuel Agormeda. He carries a strong apostolic, pastoral, and a prophetic mantle upon his life, leading him to planting churches and strengthening existing ones. He is a sought-after conference preacher and speaker, ministering extensively in the United States and countries across the globe. He has a background education in leadership studies, political science, and divinity. Reverend has demonstrated passion for helping the less privileged in society through his initiative, Charisma Food Bank, which provides food for the needy families in the state of Maryland. He is the senior pastor of Royal House Chapel International and also doubles as the apostle of Royal House Chapel churches in North America. He is currently a doctoral candidate of ministry at the Oral Roberts School of Theology. He is married to Lady Pastor Mrs. Wilhelmina Agormeda, and they are blessed with 3 adorable children. With a hand of applause, we want to welcome to the stage Reverend Emmanuel Agormeda.
Thank you very much for your powerful presentation. Very insightful, eye-opening, and I believe that is going to change our lives and change the face of our nation. So I'm to talk about how we can leverage our culture for development and also to compete on the global stage. You know, Africa is the second largest continent in the world. And we have been blessed with so much resources, yet we are not taking advantage of the resources, and we are not competing at the level we ought to compete. Our Asian brothers have done very well, and they are competing. I live in America, and I can tell you that in America, you are going to find a lot of Asians really doing well in technology, IT. You call it ICT, or we call it IT. They are top there. And when you go to the health field, they are there. Business field, they are there. They are everywhere. And there's so many things I've learned. I'll talk about a few of them here as I continue. But these people have strategically located themselves, and they are doing extremely well. I don't believe that they are doing well because they are in America. It's a factor. But I believe that they also came with certain cultural values when they came in and took advantage of the American cultural values, and boom, they began to succeed. So let's go now. So in this presentation, I will talk about the value of cultural uniqueness. I will talk about the cultural uniqueness of the United States. I will talk about how we can take advantage of our own cultural uniqueness to be able to succeed. So when you talk about cultural uniqueness, you are talking about a style of artistic impression, methodology, or medium by which which is unique to a country, a nation, a society, a class, ethnicity, region, or tribe. We are talking about culture that is just unique to a group. I was born in Ghana, I was raised in Ghana. Unfortunately, I live in Accra all my life. I went to Presekle, I went to University of Ghana, I head out of the country. So I lived in Accra all my life, but at least when I did in my day, there was something called O-levels and A-levels. So when you finish A-levels, you will spend a time to do what we call national service. I believe we still do that in the country. So first time I left Accra to travel to Winneba, where I was teaching in a school, a JSS school. And Winneba is not too far from Accra, but the cultural values, even here in Accra, we have cultural values and we have culture. One thing that is really lacking is that the artistic culture that we have is missing in America. But they have cultural values that helps them to compete on the global stage. And that's what one of the things I will talk about today. The importance of culture cannot be underestimated. The UNESCO, for instance, in trying to uphold cultural uniqueness in 1966, emphasized that each culture has a dignity and value which must be respected and preserved. It says that every person has the right and the duty to develop its culture. And the third part of this article is that in their rich variety and diversity and in reciprocal influences, they exert to one another. All culture forms part of the heritage belonging to all mankind. So this is an Article 1 from a UNESCO document trying to talk about the fact that everybody's culture must be respected, everybody's culture must be upheld, and we should allow people to express themselves through their culture. Problem is that we were told that our culture was not good. And some of the blame, I'm a pastor, but some of the blame will be put first on those who came to colonize us, and some of them will be put on some of the missionaries that came, who tried to make our culture look so bad because they wanted to present Christianity to us. And so as a result of that, we all grew up not taking advantage of certain cultural values that can help us develop and can help us compete on the global stage. Maida Marana writes, and it says, culture and development. He writes on culture and development, evolution and prospects. She emphasized and said that there is a correlation between culture and development. And this is true. A number of research surveys have shown that culture, defined as prior beliefs and values or preferences, can change development outcomes. Economically, culture is seen as those customary beliefs and values that ethnic, religious, and social groups transmit fairly unchanged from generation to generation. Today, we have certain cultures that we hold on to, but I'm telling you, some of them have been distorted. And if we really want to take advantage of our culture, we have to go to how it existed before we had all these people coming to colonize us and to tell us that everything black is wrong and everything white is good. I live in the U.S. I've lived in the U.S. for almost 20 years. I pastor in the U.S. by the grace of God successfully. I have planted, besides where I pastor, which is a quite successful church, I have planted about 18 churches. The gentleman you see here is our pastor in our Virginia church. All you have to just go to Facebook and put Royal House Chapel and just put Virginia, Maryland, Atlanta, and it will just be popping up. There are the thing is that people say, I'm going to America to go and succeed. The truth is that when you go to America and you don't adopt the cultural values over there, it's difficult for you to succeed. But unconsciously, when you go in unconsciously, you adopt the cultural values. You don't even know you're adopting it, but it's how people live, how people do things. So by the time you realize, you have picked it up. And that is one thing that actually helps you to be able to achieve what we call the American dream. So America's bigness and America's influence and all of that hinges on some cultural values which everybody practices consciously or unconsciously. And if we want to develop and if we want to compete, We shouldn't throw away certain values that we do have. We must leverage it. We must take advantage of those values to be able to compete. And if we take advantage of those values, wherever we go, we take those values with us. So many things are coming to mind I'll be talking about as I go in the time that I do have. Americans have this value they call individual freedom and self-reliance. The first one. Second one is equity of opportunity and competition. The third one is the American dream and hard work. So these are 6 things, but they have been paired. Okay, they've been paired. So we have individual freedom and self-reliance. Individual freedom and self-reliance. You have to understand the history of America. America was formed because people wanted freedom from aristocracy. They wanted freedom from the church in Europe. They wanted freedom from the monarchs in Europe. And that system was a class system. So they wanted a place where they can just run away, have freedom, and do whatever they want to do. This was the motivation to the New World. So they moved and came in and made sure that whatever constitution they would do and all of that will give them the freedom, will give them the liberty and all of that. So they will have individual freedom, and they can rely also on themselves, and they can compete. Over time, this has become a cultural value for anybody who lives in the U.S. Look, there are hundreds of thousands of immigrants who are always entering the U.S. every year. We have a problem at the Mexican border to the U.S. You know, the Latin American countries, because America is situated, America and Canada is the most prosperous. America shares borders with Canada, shares borders with Mexico. So if you want to come into America by road and all of that, you have to come through either Arizona, come through California, come through Texas, New Mexico. So everybody tries to come in, and every year, in fact, if you Google now, there are people who are at the border who want to come in. But truth is that when they come in, they have to take advantage of the cultural values in America to be able to succeed. Because without that, you cannot succeed. One of which is individual freedom and self-reliance. It means self-reliance simply means you are depending on yourself. You are not looking for handout from anybody. You will learn that very fast in America. That you are not looking for handouts from anybody. You work hard, you grab. People try to judge the fact that in America, when somebody is 18 years, they say you're an adult. Some parents kick their children out of the house. This is the reason why. The reason is that at a certain point in life, you have to fight for yourself. You have to rely on yourself. You have to depend on yourself. So, parents, once you turn 18, your parents start letting you know that you are an adult now. You don't only make your decisions, you must start making your money. I have 3 kids. Okay, my firstborn is going to turn 18 in September. And the only reason why he's not working, he's not going to work because I need money. No. He's not working. He's not going to work because I need money. I'll only make him work because I want him to be tough. That's all. He sleeps free. He eats free. He drinks free. He has a teacher that teaches him in America for free, besides going to school. So he doesn't have those needs. But the reason why I've not made him start working is because he's preparing for an exam, SAT. And I want him to get it out of the way so that, which he's going to write before he will turn 18, then he can start working. Why would I make him start working? I'm going to make him start working so that he can learn to rely on himself and to depend on himself. Not because we cannot provide, but because this is the values we live by. As for me in Ghana, I had to rely on myself by default. I had to do that by default. Why? Because I was born into a family of 6 children. I'm the third of 6 children. My father was a carpenter and a builder. So he only gets desk from Ministry of Education, small, and working as a foreman. My mother was a petty trader, and I don't know why they have 6 children. And then they were trying to give us the best of education, because my father would say, I didn't get education, I wanted to have education. And you know African parents, right? They want us to go to school. All of your parents did that, right? They want you to go to school, go to school. So by the time I finished 6th form, I took it upon myself here in Ghana that I'm not going to bother my parents anymore. At least national service, I'll start making money. So I have to just start living on my own. I was in the house, but I said, don't worry about me again. Just worry about my younger siblings and figure out what they will eat, what they will drink. But that was by default. One thing I took out. When I finished O levels, I was 17 years old. And nobody told me to look for a job. I lived at Alajo. And so I found this man who was doing printing on T-shirts. He had come from America, and we used to keep fit. So I asked him, can you get me a job? I'm home doing nothing. I'm waiting for my results to go to 6th form. He gave me a job. Now, for that to happen in Ghana in those days, it was rare, because parents took pride in taking care of us, giving us food to eat, sleeping, resting, washing the dishes at home, and all of that. But what I thought I was doing at 17, and I did after A levels, which I thought I was overdoing, in America it's not overdoing at all. It is normal. It is normal. It's a value. So you enter, you begin to hustle. Just like he was talking about hustling. You begin to hustle. And you know why you begin to hustle? At that age of 18, and we the African parents don't normally do that, but a lot of the American parents do that. You 18, you get out of this house. You go take care of yourself. You can go out and come in at 12 midnight. You can do that. Get out of this place. And these boys too will get angry and slam the door. I'm leaving you. I'm going. It's only when they go, they discover that you have to pay rent. If you have a car, you have to put petrol in your car. So they begin to learn toughness. The only difference between America and Ghana when it comes to self-reliance is that America has opportunities and Ghana doesn't have. America has opportunities. America, if you're a gardener and you cut grass, you can drive a Mercedes-Benz. You don't need to have a college degree to drive a Mercedes-Benz. Cut grass. You buy a house. The opportunities are there. So the value is self-individualism and self-reliance. And that's one thing I learned over there. So when we are talking about culture, it's just a way by which people think and do things. The second thing I want to talk about is equality of opportunity and competition. So when the settlers came to America, and if you have done some history, you will know that they came there, and one reason is that they wanted equality. Why? Because in Europe there were monarchs. There was the aristocratic families. They were the wealthy people. It was a class society. There was the extremely rich and powerful, and there were the very poor. We did something in school. There were the proletarians, and there were the serfs. There was the bourgeoisies, and there was the nobodies. And it was difficult for the poor to break into the realm of the rich. So they go into the new world, they go to America, and then they say to themselves, all of us are equal. We are all starting fresh. Everybody's going to fight for themselves. Everybody's going to do their own thing. So everybody had a freedom, had opportunity, equality of opportunity, and that brought competition. Again, so equality of opportunity, the next thing that it brings is competition. If all of us are starting at the same place, nobody has an advantage, we compete. And when we compete, the winner is celebrated. So America, if you know one thing about America, America is a competitive society. That is why it's a capitalist economy. In capitalist economy, you don't wait for handouts. The battle, when you see Democrats and Republicans fighting, one main thing is that Democrats like to give free handout, free this. Republicans says, no, you can't do that. You can't be doing free. Let people work. For instance, Britain is a socialist economy. So they take from the rich, they give to the poor. They tax, they will, these soccer players, you see them earning £400,000. The tax they pay is more than half of their salaries. Why? Because it goes to the poor. America, we don't play like that. It's a competitive society. You compete, you fight, you make your money, you enjoy your money. So there is this culture of competition. We are all equal, so let's compete. That is why you see people travel to America and they come back and they are successful. If you go, you don't compete, you cannot. Why are they successful? Opportunity is there, yes. But when they went in there, they decided to join the competition. There are some Americans who don't compete, so they are poor. So we are travelers. We went there, we emigrated. We went there, we are successful. Because we understood that in this culture of competition, if you don't compete, you cannot win. The last point from America. The last cultural value there, I don't know whether you want to call it a cultural value or not, but it's wealth and hard work. Material wealth and hard work. Material wealth and hard work. If you know something about Americans, they live large. I don't know if you have been to America a few times in your life. Oh, Americans can live large. Drive big cars. All the cars are heavy. Most of the engines, V8 engines, massive. Large living, big houses, if you can afford it. 10 cars, if you can afford it. All of that. So it's a culture that celebrates wealth and large living. But the price of it is hard work. So that's why people have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs. No, 6 is too much. Let's say 3. So in this age of the COVID, when people started working remote, online, especially those who do IT, you will call it ICT, you won't believe that some of these boys have gotten 3 jobs. So when they wake up in the morning, they are living in one computer here, one computer here, one computer here. This one is paying him $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year. He is 31 years old. He's from Africa. He's a Ghanaian. He's working. Maybe 2 in the morning, 1 at night, working. Was it not hard working from Africa? Maybe I don't know. But when he entered there, he discovered that to drive a big car, you must put in more shifts. You know, when the first speaker, the iceberg he put over there, one of the things he said that you sleep late and wake up early. Hard work. So it's a cultural value in America. So do we have cultural values we can use? Yes, we have cultural values. It depends on which one you pick and how we package it and how we run with it. I paid attention and I look at one which is communalism. Africa originally was not like this. We were communities. It was when the British came here and introduced the Crown Colony their crown colony and the way of administration, where the queen is somewhere, there's a secretary of state, there is this. So the chief became the last person. Before that, the chief was the boss of the community. And we lived as a community, we lived as a people, group of people. If we want to be successful, we must learn how to go back to that. We have been so much distorted that we can't trust each other anymore. But we must learn to go back to the days where we lived as a community. And then we must learn to begin to do things together. All the ideas he was preaching, as he's saying, some of you may have some of these ideas, but your problem may be money. So, if I have 500 cedis, she has 500, the other one has 700. Can't we put it together? Can't we pick one idea and begin to run with it? But there's so much mistrust amongst us that the way we used to be a community, we are no more. It is our community way of living that Europe has adopted, where they have what they call co-op, where people with same interest come together. But we don't have that anymore. So if we want to get somewhere, we must return to community life. We must learn to trust each other. In America, when you can see a very big, nice house. It's an Indian man's house. The Ghanaian living in his big house is there with his wife and his children. The Indian man is living there with 3 families, all Indian siblings. Why? One has been successful, brings the 3, they all stay there, they work hard. They pay small for rent because it's one person's house. They succeed, they go. They have 3 people with them. So because they work together, they are successful and they are wealthy. But one thing I have discovered when I talk to Ghanaians, I discover that we have so much mistrust for ourselves that I want to go solo. You cannot finance it by yourself. You cannot do it alone. You may have the idea, somebody has the money, somebody has the time. So when the 3 of us come together, you have idea, time, money, boom, we start making money. Zuckerberg didn't do Facebook by himself. He did it with some people. But we want to go solo all the time. And why are we going solo? Because when the colonizers came here, they broke us apart. They broke us apart. Let me finish quickly, my time is up. They broke us apart. The other thing we can take advantage of is our hospitality. Ghanaians are hospitable people. The year of return, everybody wants to come to Ghana. It's not because our beaches are very beautiful, more beautiful than other countries. It's because they say when you go to Ghana, the people are warm. They are nice, they are sweet, they are nice, they are sweet, they are nice, they are sweet. We can create a whole marketing industry out of our niceness and our sweetness. We are not making money out of it. We can create a big time hospitality industry out of our niceness because it comes natural. We live it. People just tell our Ghanaians are sweet people, they are nice people. We are not leveraging these things. But first, it looks like somebody must sit down and package it and present it. That let's begin to go this route because it comes natural for us. And let's use these values to create wealth for ourselves, to develop our country, to help us compete on the global stage. Thank you.